All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is week 13 here in the NFL, and we're diving into all of the Sunday games in today's video, with the exception of the Sunday Night Football video. That will be its own video here on the channel if you are looking for that, so keep an eye out for the Sunday Night Football video. But all the other Sunday games, we're going to go into each and every one of them, talk about them, give you my lean on the spread, I'll give you my lean on the total, but all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself, those will be in the pinned comment, always updated by game time. So if you do want to ride with those picks, or if you want to fade those picks, those plays will be in the pinned comment. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. We are racing, and I mean racing, towards 40,000 subscribers. You guys are absolutely killing it. It's pumping some crowd noise for you. Seriously, thank you guys so much for the recent support. And yeah, hit that like button as well. But let's jump into game number one here. We're looking at the Patriots taking on the Chargers. Right now, Patriots sitting at 5.5-point dogs. The total sitting at 40 points right now, which makes a lot of sense. This Patriots team, have they even figured out how to score whatsoever as of late? Not really. Their last few games here have been abysmal. 6 points to Indianapolis, 7 points against the Giants, like not even looking remotely, capable, I guess you could say, right? Competent. But this is also a very inconsistent offense you're looking at from the Chargers. Playing a good defense last week, right, against Baltimore. They lose 20-10. That is a good defense. Green Bay, they only put up 20 against. Like, it's a little shady of a team right now, and for whatever reason, I do think that the Patriots keep this game somewhat close. Now, we can sound the psycho alert alarm, right? Like, it makes a lot of sense to say I'm crazy looking at the Patriots here, but this is a team that, and there actually is a lot of storylines here to go into. One would be that, there's been rumors that Bill Belichick may want to coach the Chargers next year or something like that. Like, maybe you put weight into that. I'm more or less putting weight into, at some point, I'm a Patriots fan, right? So this isn't even a bias pick. It's almost going to screw the Patriots at some point. They're just going to get one of these BS wins, drop in the draft order, that type of thing, and I feel like the Chargers have been so inconsistent that this is a spot in which the Patriots at home could potentially make a move here. This Chargers team, though, you think of them as playing a lot better, Justin Herbert's a little banged up with the finger, like, he hasn't looked all that great. They're 4-7 on the year and 2-3 at home here, and only on the road, and only 3-7-1 against the spread. Like, as weird as it sounds, if there's any game that the Patriots could keep this close, not necessarily win, but win against the spread, it could be this game. So whether or not that makes it into the final plays, keep an eye on the pinned comment, because I think you're kind of a psycho, which is why we sounded that alert alarm to bet on the Patriots. Like, that is just crazy at this point. But for whatever reason, a total sitting at 40, getting almost 6 points here, seems like a good spot for the Patriots to at least keep it to within a field goal against an offense that really hasn't been firing on all cylinders, especially with some injuries involved there. In terms of the total, I don't necessarily mind taking a peek at the under here. Again, this comes down to both teams. Their offenses have seemed a little off. Chargers a hell of a lot better than the Patriots, but it takes 2 to tango for a total to go over, right? So I am going to take a peek at the under here as well. Taking something under 40 seems a little bit scary, but think about all the unders that we've seen cashing as of late, especially, definitely as of late, right? Thanksgiving and that type of thing. And both of these teams have cashed 8 unders of their 11 games. So though it's a low number, I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the under as well. All right, next up, we have the Saints hosting the Lions here. This one had me going back and forth for a little bit, because this is a Lions team that, no doubt in my mind, is better than the Saints, right? But they haven't looked all that great. They lose to Green Bay on Thanksgiving, let up tons of points to Chicago. They did get the win, let up tons of points to LA as well. Like, there's something off about this Detroit defense. Though they've played some good offenses, there's plenty of teams that have been pretty slow offenses all year long that are dropping a bunch of points on them, which kind of has been New Orleans' issue, right? Good defense, that offense, they're turning the ball over a lot, giving other teams good field position, also not moving the ball all too, easily. In terms of Olave's injury as well, that's something to monitor. He is questionable here, so that would kind of make their offense definitely stagnant. So this is one that I definitely went back and forth with. So if you're on either side here, I don't hate it. I don't have the best of arguments for it. I do and will say that this is a team in which is New Orleans that I think the Lions can clean up. I think that they can get right against them. You can see where New Orleans' defensive strengths lie, but the Lions have a very dynamic offense, and they can kind of beat you in multiple ways. So I do think that this is a Lions spot in which, you're only laying 4 points here. I like them. But again, I was very very close to leaning on the side of New Orleans, so that kind of tells you exactly where I am. This is not an absolute lock. It's not an absolute send it to the final plays section, right? This is kind of one that I'll do some more research on and see what we end up rolling with, but I do like the Lions to win by maybe a touchdown here. So give me them. In terms of the total, 47, yes, it seems a little bit high, doesn't it, for a New Orleans game? Like, this is a New Orleans team that really has not been an over team. The Lions have. I just mentioned all of these offenses that have been scoring on them that aren't all that great, but New Orleans has cashed 8 unders this season out of their 11 games. It makes me a little scared to pull the trigger on it, but I am going to lean towards the under. I don't think New Orleans offense gets to that level. Do you know what I mean? Like, in this Detroit offense, I do trust. They've had their, ups and downs this year, but when they've had, bad games like that one against Baltimore, it's Baltimore, right? Like, if you're going to have one game where you can't score points, make it against one of the best teams in the league. Whereas New Orleans, no matter who they play, they're really, struggling to consistently get to, 21 plus, which is what I think they need to get to if they want this over 47 to cash. So I'm going to lean towards the under. The one caveat I'll throw in is that I think that this is a weird little spot. Like, the fact that this total is at 47 may tell us the bookmakers kind of know what they're doing. So it may be a trap for the under. Smells like a trap, but we may be pulling the trigger there. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. All right, guys, before we do get into the next game, I want to talk to you about Sleeper, one of my favorite DFS pick'em apps out there right now. 2 things to mention. You can use the link in the pinned comment. You get your first deposit match. You can throw in $100, and Sleeper is going to give you $100 more. You'll have a new account balance of $200. You could put in $20 if you wanted the cheap version, right? You'll also get another $20, have a new account balance of $40. It's a no-brainer. If it's legal in your state, make sure to check out Sleeper. That link is in the pinned comment, and you'll also get this Patrick Mahomes free square for Sunday Night Football. Will he throw for 1 yard? It's Patty Mahomes. I think he will, guys. Go check out Sleeper. That link is in the pinned comment. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next game here. We're looking at the New York Jets hosting the Atlanta Dolphins. New team alert, Atlanta Dolphins. New York Jets hosting the Atlanta Falcons here. And I like the Jets, actually. I might even like them on the money line for some plus money. Plus 110 right now. They are at home. They have that going for them. And this is more or less fading the Dolphins. No, fading the Falcons. I don't really trust anything about this Falcons team. I don't trust Desmond Ridder. It's like, who is he going to look to, this game? He picks and chooses his receivers, it seems, on any given night. Bijan Robinson obviously had a nice game this past week, so good for him, but I just think that this is a good Jets defense, a Jets defense that actually, I say this after a 34-13 Black Friday loss. For the first, what would you say, first maybe 20 minutes of that game, quarter and some change, they look like they may be able to hang in it, right? And then it's like the Dolphins are just going to dolphin. So makes it tough to pull the trigger on the Jets, but I like them getting the points here. Now, +2 doesn't really tickle my fancy. If I'm going to go +2, I might as well go money line. If this was 3, right, +3, then we're looking at that field goal number. But give me the Jets here on the money line. I know it's crazy. Who the hell's starting for them? Who knows? Boyle or whatever. Like, is he really going to do anything? Probably not. So it is kind of a tough spot to lean, but I just cannot get myself to confidently back the Falcons. And it is kind of crazy when you look at this Falcons team. Robinson, London, Pitts, Jonnu Smith, like, they have guys that should be fairly good, but we just can't seem to get that consistency out of them. Prior to that win against New Orleans, they had lost 3 straight games: Tennessee, Minnesota, and Arizona. They should have taken 2 of those 3 games. And maybe you make the argument for Minnesota should be able to beat them, right? But Arizona and Tennessee, if this team has the talent that they have, they should be able to beat those teams. And they didn't. So I don't really believe in this Atlanta team whatsoever. And in terms of like what we're looking at from the Jets, I'm not going to sit here and say that they have the best of shots at the wild card, right? But, they're kind of in a position where it's like, if they keep losing, what's the point of Aaron Rodgers coming back and all that? And that's a big story right now. Like, will Aaron Rodgers come back? I don't know why he would, but if that's in the news, maybe they're playing for some sort of a reason. Is that impacting the bet all that much? Not really. This is mostly a fade the Falcons type of a pick here. Now, the total's way down at 33.5, like way down at 33.5. And It makes sense. Like I don't see exactly where the points come from the Falcons here. Even if they score, 20 points, I feel like that's their absolute maximum. The Jets may go out there and score 13. I know I just talked about them. I like them on the money line, but where's that offense from, right? So I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. 33.5 is a super low number, but reluctantly I lean towards the under in this spot. Steelers taking on Arizona here. It's like, who's going to be worse this week offensively? Is it going to be the Cardinals? Is it going to be the Steelers? But one thing the Steelers do have is a legitimate defense, right? Like, we can say that this is a good Steelers defense. They're ranked 7th defensively in terms of DVOA rankings. This Arizona defense is all the way down at 30th, third worst in the entire league. Now, yes, they've had some injuries, and even on the offensive end, Kyler comes back. Does it change things up? Maybe. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't change anything up, but I do think that, the Steelers get after whoever is at quarterback, and no matter the offensive line of any team. So I'm going to lean towards the Steelers here. You can actually get it at -5.5 over on FanDuel right now, so you kind of have a better value there than most sportsbooks at 6 at the time of recording. So give me the Steelers. It is a pretty high number to lay as this team, but this is a 7-4 team against the spread this year. They're 4-2 straight up at home as well. So as much as it sounds crazy to say, I like the Steelers by a decent amount of points here, because I don't think this Arizona team is going to be able to stop Watt and company. And I think that, Kyler Murray is a mistake-prone quarterback, and I don't think you want to make mistakes against the Steelers, but the Steelers are going to make you make even more mistakes because of how much pressure they can apply there. So give me the Steelers here. Total sitting at 41.5. I'll take the under gladly. And I know it's getting a little worrisome here. I'm going under, like I got an under machine gun, right? But I'm taking each game as it goes, putting it in a vacuum, and looking at it like that. So I don't have this under brain going, right? Which maybe I do, and maybe I just need to fade myself. But nonetheless, give me the under 41.5 in this spot as well. I don't necessarily see exactly where the points come from, especially if I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have the upper hand in this game, and I don't think they're going to score a lot of points. There you go. There's my mind and thought process getting to that point. Tennessee Titans taking on the Colts. I think everyone and their grandmother is going to be on the Colts. If you guys watched H to H, the show that I do with Tassos here on the channel, he took the Colts. We had a guest, Spencer. Spencer also liked the Colts in that spot as well. I actually like Tennessee, and it's really just for one reason and one reason only. If Derrick Henry, to some degree, gets things going, like he did last week, this could be a pretty tough spot for the Colts to stop him or stop anybody, right? Like, this is a Colts team that they have a decent defense. I give them credit for that. Top 11 when it comes to defensive DVOA rankings, but 24th when it comes to their rush rank. So if Derrick Henry can get off to any sort of a start or control the game, these are the type of games that Tennessee wins. So yes, it's only +1, but I like them on the money line here. You can get decent plus value there as well. But again, Derrick Henry looked good against Carolina. It's Carolina. I understand that. But this Colts rush defense is not all that great. And I think that he can do something similar. 18 carries, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns there. Go out and do that again. I think we're looking at a dub. One thing I will say is, they did play earlier this year, and obviously, the Colts ended up winning that one 23-16. Derrick Henry, though, had a decent game, not all that great. So I am preaching Derrick Henry. He's going to kind of tear up this Colts defense. Just, a month ago or so, he did not. But I think he's starting to get it going, which is probably too little too late, we could say, right? But I do think that he's starting to get it going here, as they're last in I believe they're last in the AFC South here. So this is an AFC South battle, but not with all the most implications. But nonetheless, I do think Derrick Henry's going to try and get his numbers. Total sitting at 42.5. You guessed it. I'm looking at the under. It fits my game script that I'm predicting, right? Derrick Henry gets off to the races. Tennessee may go up a touchdown, and then they blunt force trauma, try and bleed that clock, and we look at like a 21-17 type of a game, or a 21-14 type of a game. So give me the Titans on the money line as well as an under, and I do apologize for all the unders I'm throwing out. Who knows what will make it into the final plays, right? Like, I don't love the totals this week, especially because we're looking at a lot of unders, but the NFL has been so under heavy lately that they're starting to move these lines down, like a 33.5 line for the Jets and Falcons. I don't think we actually pull the trigger on that, but it is sort of the lean. But again, I like the under spot in this one as well at 42.5. But let's switch that up real quick. We got Washington taking on Miami. I like the over 49.5 here. I said it since the beginning of the year, right? If there's anything sub 50, I'm probably going to look at the over with this Miami team. This Miami team literally on any given day can put up 35 points themselves, like with ease. It's not even a long shot to go and do that, right? And this Washington team is a team that does not really feel like they're ever out of it. Now they have plenty of games, even take their their most recent game against Dallas on Thanksgiving, right? They lose 45-10, but they have Sam Howell, who has been throwing the ball like crazy. No matter how much they're down, they'll keep him in. He'll throw. He threw for 300 yards, 44 attempts against Dallas, and this should be a faster paced game than that. So go ahead and lock in this over for me as a potential final play as well, because again, sub 50 kind of fits that mold that I've been going with all year, and the fact that you know what you're going to get from Miami most likely, and this is a Washington team that no matter how much they're down, they're going to try and I'm not going to call it stat pad, but they're going to try and score and score and score and score. They do not seem to give up here, and Sam Howell certainly does not seem to give up. So give me the over 49.5 as my main lean in this game. In terms of a spread pick here, I kind of got caught taking Washington against Dallas last week for Thanksgiving. I took them plus 14. They couldn't even keep it there with the alternate line. I'm going to do the same thing here. They are at home, and if I like the over, I could see this being like a 35 to maybe 27 type of a game, something like that, where it's Miami that gets them in the end, but 9.5 points seems like it's maybe a hair too much to lay. So I like the over more than anything. I made that clear. I don't want to lay 9.5, even though Miami probably will end up winning by like $1 million, right? So give me Washington plus 9.5 points. I say that with a frown on my face, but I say with a big smile on my face. I like that over 49.5. Watch Washington be the team that wins it outright. It's a low-scoring game. It's like, wow, Ev, you really picked that game well, huh? But let's move on to the next game. Houston is taking on Denver. I already said it on H2H. One of my money line picks was Denver. Got plus 160 odds on them on the show. They're plus 142 now, and I still don't hate it. The only thing I'll say I hate about this is that, like, this is such a prize child team right now. Denver making this push, blah, blah, blah. But I actually do think that they match up fairly well. I think there's tons of value in looking at this team plus 142. And this Texans team has been damn near just as hyped this entire season, right? Like, though they've been in a little bit of a rut, they lost last week against Jacksonville. This is a team that, has been sort of America's sweetheart team the entire year. So don't come talking to me about me taking the hype team against Houston here in Denver. Like, no, this Texans team has been praised like you read about all year long. So if anything, I feel like I'm getting the hotter team here, while some people are still, either naysaying or now saying their run's coming to an end, and still backing Houston because it seems like it's the easy pick. I'm kind of being a conspiracy here in the room, and sort of, or I should say, taking the opposite just in general is somewhat profitable, right? Like, you look at, the public, maybe me being a contrarian is sort of a profitable strategy. I'm not really reading too much into it. I actually like the matchup. I actually like how the Broncos have been playing, and I certainly love the plus money we're getting. You can also get it if you want to be safer, which we may by the time of the final plays at 3.5 over on FanDuel. But yeah, give me the Broncos here, whether it's money line or plus 3.5. And the one thing I'll note, and it is a good point, is that most of that streak came when they were on the at home. They are on the road here, but I still trust them to keep it up. So I want to throw out that information, be transparent that I understand that, but I still like them in this spot. Now, the total is 47.5, and I went back and forth on this one, but I think I'm going to ultimately lean towards the over. If Denver wins this game, I think that they're going to ultimately put up something like they have been doing, right around 24 points at a floor. So if they want to win this game, I think they have to go out there and probably score 29, maybe, 27 points or so, which if Houston loses, I think that they put up 21-ish, right? So if I'm predicting a 27-21 type of a finish in favor of Broncos, I guess I got to look at the over, right? It only hits it by a half point. I went back and forth on it. Not the most confident spot or biggest margin of what I think the score is going to be versus what the line is, but I'm not going to take the under here, especially if I'm rooting for Denver to win this game. Tampa Bay taking on Carolina here. That total is so low, but it makes a lot of sense. I'm actually surprised it's not lower, like 35. So I'll lean towards the under immediately. I know, taking a lot of unders. I've mentioned that a million times in this video. I'll also look at Tampa Bay here minus the 5 points. Some sportsbooks have it at minus 5.5. I probably stopped there. Maybe 5.5 is the last sort of ditch effort. If this gets to minus 6, I'm not really considering it, but this Carolina team is terrible. Tennessee beat them by 7. Tampa Bay also looks like, maybe they could could start keeping games close. They only lost, I say only, but only lost to the San Fran 49ers 27-14, which is crazy that I'm saying that only because they kept it to within 2 touchdowns. But then they only lose to Indiana by 7, or Indianapolis, excuse me. This Carolina team, as bad as the Bucs have been multiple times this year and looked bad, they're really good against the spread. 7-4 against the spread this season. They're better at home than they are on the road. They are at home here, and it's kind of like who's going to be worse. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to win that job every single day of the week because they are that bad. So I'll lean towards the Bucs here as well. And like I said, two bad offenses. I don't see a lot of production coming out of this one, so slightly lean on the under as well. Philadelphia taking on San Fran. This is going to be a great game, obviously. And I'm sounding the psycho alert alarm again. I'm looking at Philadelphia here plus the 3 points. Am I crazy? Yes, but this is a San Fran team that really hasn't been tasked with a tough game in a while. Now, their last, I would say, tough game was against Dallas, and they whooped up on them. So fine, fair, I get it. But again, back to being the contrarian in the room, like I think a lot of people are going to think, oh, this is such a good San Fran team, which they are. But I truly believe that this is also a very good Eagles team that people are starting to, not necessarily talk down on, but not believe that they're at the level of the 49ers. And many people are saying, oh, well, look at last game, Jalen Hurts stunk and all. That was in the rain. That was a disgusting, muddy game against the Bills. Like, no kidding, Jalen Hurts looks bad. And then you even look at what he ended up doing, and he ended up with fairly decent stats. Like, he turned it on late in the game. I expect him to keep this to within a field goal. Can San Fran win? Sure. Does it fit the game script of making next week's Eagles game against the Dallas Cowboys even more entertaining if they lose this week? Hell yeah. So maybe, fine, go and give the 49ers a win by 1 point or 2 points. But I'm taking the Eagles plus 3. I'm probably in the minority here, and I totally understand that because of how good San Fran is. But this is an Eagles team that has been going through the gauntlet. I just mentioned how the 49ers haven't really played many, good teams, right? Seattle, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville's good. Cincinnati, Minnesota, Cleveland, Dallas, Arizona, Giants, Rams, right? Like, this is not a team that's been tasked with a tough schedule. Philadelphia, just in their last 3 games, Buffalo, Kansas City, Dallas, like, this is a team that's had to beat some good teams, and they've been beating some damn good teams. Like, everybody thought they were going to lose to Miami. They beat them 31-17. Now, San Francisco's a hell of a lot better than Miami. I do believe that, but I think that this Eagles team is the second best team in the league, and the second best team in the league can keep this game to within a field goal in my brain. Total sitting at 48 here. I think this is going to be a very, very close game. I think that we could see some late points as well. So I'm going to lean towards the over. The over sitting at 48. It's a high number, but both these teams, very capable of dropping 24 points apiece easily. Will the defenses allow it? That'll be the determining factor. But I think offense, from both these teams, we should be looking at a decent amount of points. All right, now our last game on the slate. Again, if you're looking for the Sunday Night Football video, that will be out on the channel as well. It'll come out just after, a couple hours after this one publishes, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. If you're watching this on Sunday morning, that Sunday Night Football video should have already been posted by Saturday, so make sure to go check that out. Guys, hit that subscribe button if you're still watching. Hit that like button as well. Go follow me over on X at EvGuyBoston, following everyone back as of late, and comment 22 if you made it this far into the video. I want to see the real ones, part of the Fade Squad. You ain't no guppy if you're watching here and commenting, and I know that. But we're getting into the Rams taking on the Browns. Now, it's not the most sexy matchup of the week. I don't think anyone would say it would be. We probably should have concluded with the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the 49ers, but nonetheless, we're looking at two teams in which the Browns are kind of exceeding expectations. They had a down week last week against Denver, but I think we started to see some of those big injuries that they have actually start to come to fruition and look fairly, noticeable. And you have a Rams team that's won 2 straight games, and though the graphic says -4, they're actually getting -3.5 over on FanDuel. If you wanted to buy a point, you could for some decent odds, right? -130-ish. So I'm going to lean towards the Rams at home. Even when healthy, this has been a Cleveland team that dominates at home, but has struggled on the road. So take that for what it's worth. This isn't the best of matchups, but I do like the Rams here, minus the points. 3.5 looks a hell of a lot better than 4 as well. In terms of the total, 40.5, I could see this one finishing, right at sort of 41 points. So much like the game we talked about with Denver and Houston, I do think that this is a slight overlean. I don't think it makes its way into the final plays whatsoever, but I do think that this is a potential over spot. So I'll go ahead and lean towards the over 40.5 in this one. But if anything, my favorite play or favorite lean in this game is going to be the Rams. minus the points. And guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy week 13. I cannot believe we're already in week 13. It's crazy. Like, I still feel, because we've been moving so fast on the channel. Like, you know how many videos I put out, right? Daily NBA. We were doing daily MLB at the same time. NFL. We break out NFL with Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, H to H. Like, we're pumping out so much content that I'm like, whoa, take a second, stop, smell the roses. We're at week 13. Yikes, time flies. But guys, I appreciate your support as always. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.